So thinking in terms of the scenarios and possibilities. So it's something that I think is crucial. Why do you think we struggle with it so much?
I think there are a number of reasons. I think the first reason is that if you've achieved a level of success at anything, it has a recipe that goes with it. And what a strategic inflection point does, or some people call them disruptions, what they do is they make those recipes invalid. And so there's both a sort of a reluctance to say, oh, this makes my history, my, library, my business model, whatever it is, it makes it no longer relevant. So there's a kind of a unwillingness to see that reality. It's almost like a coffin salesman, right? They come up to you now. Okay, look, we know you're going to die. How big do you want it to be? How deep? Da, da, da. Nobody wants to have that conversation, right? I mean, it takes a powerful sort of reason to have that conversation. So I think the first one is this self-obsoleting nature of disruptions and inflection points. I think the second one is a lot of people just haven't had to do that in their careers. I mean, if you think about the people that you've interviewed, my guess is 70% of them got where they were by being fantastic operators, just squeezing every last bit of margin out of an operating system, running the supply chain till it hums. Most of our senior leadership, that's what they're picked for. I mean, if you think of most CEOs, they are not company founders. They are not the ones that rode an innovation to be a multi-billion-dollar business. And that's not a knock on them. I mean, established organizations are built to replicate a well-understood business model. But what that does mean is by the time they have to make these future-oriented decisions, they don't have a rich body of experience to draw on, which is actually, I think, one of the things that really distinguishes founder-led companies from others, which is those founders have been through it, right? They've lived with having to make payroll, and they've lived with things not working out, and they've had to pivot. And so I think there's a lot more just skill that they've got when those kinds of conditions appear. So that's the second one. I think the third reason that human beings are just really bad at making predictions is that we don't know what's happening at the edges. And by the edges, I mean, where are the new technologies coming along that could really radically change how we do business? Where are the kinds of people with new ideas? What is it people 2 generations away from us are really thinking about? So one of the practices I think that anybody can use, anybody watching this or listening can use, is train yourself to regularly get out to whatever you think of as the edges of your organization. So it could be going to a conference that isn't from your own industry. It could be taking a course. It could be working with diverse talents to brainstorm ideas. It could be listening to shows like this one where, you're not necessarily hearing what you hear every day. And I think that really is important. If I look at companies that got taken by surprise by an inflection point, what you often see is a lot of homogeneity, and that's on multiple dimensions: cultural, gender, geographic, whatever. They're all like little carbon copies of each other. And so to introduce something new in that conversation is really hard.